Ben Carson. He made some remarks recently, actually comparing immigrants and slaves in the same context and making them out to be the same thing. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm sure, unless you're living under a rock, you heard about this. Ben Carson, first black man to perform brain surgery, actually made a statement mentioning immigrants and slaves in the same context. If that's not buffoonery, I don't know what is. If that's not buffoonery, buffoonery does not exist. He said there were other immigrants who came to this country in the bottom of slave ships. Stop. Last I checked, immigrant is someone who willfully relocates. A slave is not an immigrant. Slaves were beaten, maimed, and tortured to get them to relocate. What an idiot, man. How idiotic can you be? And he also said that the immigrants who came over on slave ships worked for a lot less. You know how diabolical that is? You Negro, the slaves worked for a lot less, all right? Like nothing, zero, absolutely zilch, okay? And you know what's crazy? That he was not ostracized to the roof. The black people need to send Ben Carson to the moon because that Negro is out of this world. To actually, you know what? To insult the intelligence of so-called black people by saying that we were immigrants in the bottom of slave ships. That's an idiot, y'all. But the sad part is a lot of people look up to guys like that. I'm going to start calling the insanity the Ben Carson syndrome. And while you're at it, hold up. Hey, like this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Okay? Because this is real talk. You're going to get real talk right here. Ben Carson has the brain capacity of a peon. Because how can you be smart enough to perform the first brain surgery, but yet you think an immigrant and a slave are the same? You know what, Ben Carson? You are an excellent slave. You make an excellent slave. And I'm sure your slave master is very proud of you for spewing slave master rhetoric, because that's what that is. That's where that type of thinking comes from. Okay? Ben Carson is a total numbskull. Total numbskull. And anybody out there who thinks that he is intelligent, you need to reevaluate your stance on this brother. And you know what? He ain't the only one out there who thinks like that. There is plenty of mental sickness and instability just running amok in the black community. I'm sorry, in the so-called black community, because there's no such thing as a black race. Check this out. Look at my stocking cap. Look at my shirt. That's black. I'm a so-called black man. Look at my skin and my shirt. They're like two different colors. One is black. This is black. My shirt is black. I'm brown. Black people are different shades of brown. Some of us lighter, some of us darker. There is no such thing as a black race. That was something that was made up by, guess who? The same people who brought immigrants in the bottom of slave ships. Yeah. Okay? We got to do better, y'all. We cannot let people with no IQ, like Ben Carson, steer our thoughts. Because, see, this is something people don't get. Your oppressor, they know that putting a house Negro out there like Ben Carson and saying something like that, real foolish, and spewing that insanity out there, they know that will register in our minds. And we'll start to say, trust me, We will do it because we are destroyed mentally, okay? We don't have the capability of thinking for ourselves. Or should I say, we have it, but we prefer not to use it because we want to be a good little slave like Ben Carson, okay? And call ourselves immigrants. You call yourself an immigrant, you a retard. You ain't no immigrant. Ben Carson is an idiot. And anybody who subscribes to that way of thinking, you're sick. You need to take your meds so you can be well, okay? Real talk. You're going to get the real around here, okay? The mental depravity of so-called black people is so great, we go for anything. Anybody can tell us anything, no matter how stupid and idiotic it sounds. Even a third or fourth grader, a fifth grader will know that there's a difference between an immigrant and a slave. Immigrants don't get beat for not working. Slaves do. Immigrants don't get put into chains. Slaves do. When immigrants do a job, they get paid money. Slaves don't. And someone who would tell you that slaves do, they are a slave, a.k.a. Benny Boy, a.k.a. Ben Carson, okay? We got to get rid of this sickness in the black community because that is a sickness. And he also hates himself because he wants to just bend over backwards and whore himself out for his slave master. Because that's all he's doing. Anybody who says that's not what he's doing, you sick too. Go take your meds, all right? Because I don't want you spazzing out and dying on me tonight. Go take your meds so you can get well. You need it. With that said, all I can do is shake my head. All I can do is shake my head at the buffoonery that I see taking place in the so-called black community. What we gonna do? I holler at y'all. I'm out.